What is going on YouTube? Okay, as you could see, my Satchel Paige signed Hall of Fame postcard, using that as my background. I think it's a good setup for the subject today. Now, the question I want to ask is, who was the first black player to play in the major leagues? Sounds like a simple question, right? It's Jackie Robinson. No thought of it. Well, it's actually not a true statement because the actual first black player to play in the major leagues was a man named Moses Fleetwood Walker, who came up with the Toledo Blue Stockings in 1884. The Toledo Blue Stockings were part of the American Association, making him the first black player to play Major League Baseball. Fleet Walker, as he was called, was a catcher, actually, and unfortunately did not get to play too long, and I'll tell you a few of the reasons why. Um, One game, for example, he was playing. They were the Toledo Blue Stockings were playing the Chicago White Stockings, whose manager slash player was Cap Anson. Cap Anson said his team would not play a team that had a black player on it, and said that they would forfeit the game unless they got him off the field. Then he found out that if he forfeited, him and his team wouldn't make any money, and the whole trip would kind of be a bust. So they agreed to play anyway. Now, besides Fleet Walker having to deal with the prejudices of other teams, he had to deal with some prejudice on his own team. One of the pitchers on his own team would not take signs from Fleet Walker because he said he would not take orders from a black man. And opposing players would spike him whenever they could. Now, like I said, he was a catcher, but you got to remember, back in 1884, they weren't wearing chest protectors and masks and everything, and the shin guards and everything. So you got a player running into home hot, and you were going to be hurting. So a lot of times he was out injured. And Cap Anson, who was, from everything, all the research I've done, very prejudiced guy, he basically started this movement where he didn't want any black players on any major league teams. And apparently the other teams followed suit, and Fleet Walker was let go not too long after this. And there became what is known as the gentleman's agreement, because there was never actually anything on paper saying that black players shouldn't be allowed to play in the major leagues. It was kind of a gentleman's agreement that no one would hire a black player. And like I said, Fleet Walker was let go, and no one else was hired. Obviously, we know that. So that is some of the story of the first black player to play in the major leagues. But there's also another gentleman who played professional baseball on a white team. And that man is Jimmy Claxton. Jimmy Claxton came up in the Pacific Coast League. Now you got to remember, before the major leagues made their way out west, the Pacific Coast League was a professional baseball league. Are you a fan of the Padres? You a fan of the Angels? Well, guess what? Teams like that started in the Pacific Coast League. Now, Jimmy Claxton was hired to play with the Oakland Oaks. The owner was told that Jimmy Claxton was a Native American, and that's pretty much the only reason he was allowed to play. Now, Jimmy Claxton was part Native American. He was also part white and part African American. So Jimmy Claxton came up in 1916 with the Oakland Oaks as a pitcher. He was with the team for, I think, 5 days, and he actually pitched 2 games for them until someone let it slip that not only did he have Native American background, but he had African American background as well, and Jimmy Claxton was let go. But sometimes timing is just perfect. And in that very, very short period of time that he was with the team, the Z-Nut Candy Company was taking their photos for baseball cards. And this exact image was put on a 1916 Z-Nut candy card, making Jimmy Claxton the first ever black player to have his own baseball card. I mean, how can timing be any more perfect than that? And by the way, just to let everybody know, if you can find that card, it is insanely rare, insanely valuable, and insanely expensive. But yeah, so Jimmy Claxton technically was the first black player to play professional baseball with a white team in the 20th century, making him not only significant in the baseball card hobby, but significant in the history of baseball as well. And after him, there was no one until Jackie Robinson came up. And before he was with the Dodgers, he was with the Montreal Royals. And that was the first time since Jimmy Claxton that a black player was playing on a white team. So, I mean, basically, when I think of, obviously I was not around back then, so I don't know how people felt. It was obviously a different mindset back then. But in my opinion, it's ridiculous for multiple reasons. And I mean, if you truly think about it, baseball is a game. What are the guys out there doing? They're throwing a leather ball around. They're hitting a ball with a stick. Why couldn't black players be included in that? What was really everybody's issue? Like I said, I know I was not around during that time, but really, I mean, all I can say, I mean, because I could go on and on about this forever, and there's nothing I'm really going to say that other people haven't said before. But all I can really say is for all the people that, were prejudiced against black players playing baseball, you missed out on a lot of good play. Imagine seeing Satchel Paige pitch in his prime, for a major league team. Imagine seeing Josh Gibson, playing for a major league team. Somebody like Cool Papa Bell. Imagine seeing him. I mean, who knows. And obviously there were the Negro Leagues, but the problem with the Negro Leagues is that we don't have accurate statistics. Everything is kind of partial statistics with kind of myth added into it. There's some photographs, but there's not a lot of footage. It's almost like a part of history that's kind of given away to memory. But I think it would have been amazing if we could have seen so many of these great players play and have their statistics matched alongside of everybody else during the time. But anyway, I just wanted to make this quick video because I'm sure there's a lot of baseball fans out there who maybe have never heard of Moses Fleetwood Walker or Jimmy Claxton. But those are two very important men in the history of baseball that they and many others deserved a better chance, than they got. So, YouTube, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and I will see you guys next time.